Welcome, everybody. I will call to order the staff meeting for the Village of Lansing for Thursday, November 14th, our new meeting. And do we start with roll call for the new meetings? We'll just start with, before John, I will just reiterate what Ronnie said at our last meeting when he made a formal statement thanking everybody who was involved with the fire. I'm sure you guys are aware of everybody being extremely grateful for all your hard work. But you weren't here at the meeting when you were formally thanked, so I'm going to formally thank you guys at this meeting for the rough night that you had and your immediate response. It's nice to know when there's a crisis that we do have the right people here for the village to take care of the situation. So we're very grateful, and thank you again formally.
Thank you.
And then we will open with John. You probably have something to say about that.
It's kind of been an unusual month. We've had 2 water breaks already. One, associated with the fire, and then the other one was just a sporadic blowout down just slightly north of Route 13 or Tyler Road there. We were able to get them both fixed kind of quickly. I appreciate the guys coming in like that. I was on the phone with Bolton Point for a couple times throughout the night saying, what's going on, and there's a lot of usage going, and then I got that call that, it was a break. So it was, he goes, the inevitable happened. So, which is good. We had a good response time, and our biggest drawback to repairing the water line was waiting on the utility locates. The gentleman that marks the gas and electric and Time Warner had to come from Waterloo. So that was an hour's drive for him. And then there's a little response time between calling the emergency dig ticket in, and then by the time they dispatch from there. So he did it really well. I explained the situation, and he did a pretty good response time, so it worked out well. We're closing up our project for the Dart Drive and Graham Road water main system. We're done. We made our final payment other than the punch list and the retainage. We got our punch list just developed, draft. I received yesterday via email. I haven't had a chance to look at it. There are some outstanding items that need to be taken care of: topsoiling issues, drainage, blacktop driveway didn't come out the way it should have, little stuff like that. Other than that, it's a small punch list. They did an excellent job for us. RB Robinson did. And they were good to the people. I felt they had great communication with the residents along Graham Road and Dart Drive. Graham Road West is a little different. It was very tough to deal with the businesses. And then we paved everything and striped everything. So if anybody had a chance to drive it, it really looks nice. The narrow road, so far the appearances that the traveling public have slowed a little bit. I felt being out there doing the punch list walk, we parked our vehicle down at the intersection of Graham and Dart and walked up the sidewalks doing the punch list walk, and it felt like the traffic slowed. Occasionally you get 1 or 2 that just blow down through there. So we did our trail system improvement up in Lansing Trails 1 that goes to the pond, Leaseway, Craft and Janivar intersecting trails. There was a pond there. We replaced the bridge with a culvert pipe, put it all in there, rip-wrapped it. Our biggest difficulty there was to try to keep the slop coming back out of the pond into the creek, and that would have just got washed downhill, so we had to haul a bunch of extra fill in to bridge that, the creek and the pond. It's like a swamp now, but it'll eventually stiffen up. So once we were able to get that bridged up, so we kept the slop getting in the stream, we tidied up the best we can, and then in the spring we'll hit that and spend the rest of our allocated money on blacktop and the trails up there. So it come out pretty good. It doesn't look the greatest right now, but as in any construction phase, it's not as good as it could look. We're doing, we just been working on buttoning small things up for the winter, and we're gonna be converting over to snow removal process. And Taco Bell has been a busy one, doing some sewer inspections there. The guys blacktopped the little piece of trail in between, on Bomax Drive, in between the East Point Apartments, and they put that together a couple weeks ago. They've been doing a little blacktopping here and there, but that's just one of the trails that was from one developer to the other, and the village had to piece it together. So yeah, they did that, and it came out nice. And then the other, I think that the last bit of trail sidewalk that we really eventually need to piece together is the Blue Heron Oak Crest properties here. There's a sidewalk that dead ends, and it lacks 10 feet before it gets to the fire department parking lot. It probably wouldn't get used. If they were required to take it to the property line, they could have probably stopped at the driveway and it would have been okay. But we have to move a hydrant back a little bit and then be able to take the trail down to the fire department. So, eventually we want to do that. It's just having the timing to do it. So that's about it, really. They've been maintaining the vehicles and cleaning up our yard up there a little bit from the addition, and we transitioned to the water project. Things were kind of scattered. They reconsolidated all that stuff, put everything back in the lean-to for storage for the winter, and tidying up, and it looks really nice. They've been doing that. We've all been kind of trying to take a little extra time off in between, so I wouldn't say I had, we've all been filling in for each other. So that's all I really have. Is there any questions on anything?
No questions, but Jody sent us the link to the Town of Lansing
Newsletter.
Oh,
Have you seen it?
yeah, thinking all of us, yeah. Yep. No, that was cool.
Because we've concentrated so heavily on the fire, but not necessarily the piece about creating the backflow, if you hadn't in a timely manner taken care of.
So what happens is, Bowman Point, it's the village water mains, they're responsible for the water quality inside the mains. So when you have a break and it's spewing out water, if they would have throttled it down a little bit and they would have connected to a hydrant and they were sucking water from the hydrant, it could have pulled the groundwater back in the main and had a boil water advisory. So they had to keep it full pressure until we were able to have the time, the fire was out. It was quite a time, but that's one of the other things that we walked the fire to see if there was anything with Ronnie and Soil and Water, to see if there was anything we could do to reestablish some of the items that got burnt underneath the forest. So
Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I actually also read that newsletter, which prompted a question that I had also, because there was a big section in that newsletter about the fact that they're using this thing called clear lane de-icer instead of salt.
I didn't see that part of it.
So that actually piqued my curiosity. Do you remember it said it spreads more diffusely? Oh, you have the newsletter right there?
Of course I do.
Section on the, I thought this looked like something we should even think about.
Was that in the Department of Public Works section? I didn't get a chance to read all of what Mike Mosley had to say. Oh, we use Clear Lane.
You do?
We have been using Clear Lane for 8-9 years.
Okay, perfect.
They called us to get our take on it.
Excellent.
And what had happened with the reason why the village switched to Clear Lane is it has a certain amount of tackifier in it. And we were spreading salt on Trip Hammer and on some of these roads that get the wind, and the salt was blowing right off.
Yeah, that's what it said. It's okay. Excellent, so we're
Plus,
already
it
on
was
that.
because of the storm sewer too, right?
So we're already on
Yeah,
that.
well, that was, yeah, some of that. I mean, it was blowing in all our storm sewers and stuff, but eventually it makes it there in a liquid form. But we were able to keep the product on the road because if you watch it, when the cars drive down through it, they were actually blowing the salt away too. So with the clear lane, has a certain amount of tackifier in it, magnesium chloride, and it has, believe it or not, this is as bad as this sounds, it has inhibitors in it, corrosive inhibitors in it. And we noticed a huge difference in our trucks not rusting as much with the corrosion inhibitors in it.
Great.
Versus regular salt, so.
I have some questions for you on topics that you didn't raise. I could talk about them at the end unless you have to go.
Can you finish about, please, explaining the backflow?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Like I said, if they,
Yeah,
go ahead, if they're pulling so much water out of the hydrant, they can pull it actually out of the backs of toilets.
That's what
They have, it has been known that they can actually pull the water out of appurtenances in the house, okay? So the minimum they can pull the pressure, I think, is down to 20 PSI before it gets to be a health department issue. And that's, unfortunately, Wedgwood, Beckett, Essex Courts is it's a dead end loop on the water system. So it goes down Oak Crest and back this way, and it comes up. So they had low pressure complaints up in parts of it.
Yeah.
So that's how bad it is. So they got to be careful how much they pull water. There was so many fire trucks and so much line out, and every 600 feet is code, I think, for fire hydrants, right, Mike? So everybody can kind of take a fire hydrant if they want to, so they could actually jeopardize our system.
Yes, that was the important piece, and I was glad that town
Yeah. But
said that word, the backflow, because we talked about it, just in terms of water and I.
that's sewer, yeah, but I got you, okay.
So Kathleen, this is like a training, this is stuff that they know, that they do all the time, and it's like one of those things you were talking about, getting training on different things.
Right.
It's just the
Appreciate
common
it.
practice of what they do.
Yep. I've seen these guys fix water main breaks. I'm usually the digging guy, so I don't get out in the hole much anymore, but they have fixed lines that they couldn't throttle down because of water quality. Live, I mean, like you know, the guy walking the clamp up and clamping the line when it's spraying all over. That's what they do, you know what I mean? Some of them are good and some of them are bad.
I prefer my water warm, just so you guys.
Not
Do you have a
cold.
written policy about, or procedure
For what?
for doing what you just did? That common knowledge that you know that if someone would come
I
back,
don't
Every
think,
situation is different.
yeah.
new person would come in, that they would have. 'Cause
Yeah, or even maybe down the line, this is what it looks like when you scope, you use those words that are industry. You just know what it is, the scope.
Yeah, I mean, it's just experience. A lot of that is just experience of, I mean, they train for water quality and how to handle situational water breaks and stuff like that. But a lot of it is, just like he said, it's almost case by case, and it's hard to write a procedure on something like that. And it's very much like snow removal. Snow removal, every day, there's so many integral factors that make you change your method. Whether there's wind blowing, the roads are warm from the sun and cooled at night, or wet snow or dry snow. There's so many different things.
Traffic.
Procedural, yeah, traffic. I mean, you can go down and, like, perfect example is Cedar Lane. Cedar Lane, it could have that much snow on it, but there was no traffic down there. It'll totally scrape clean, and a very little salt you have to use to do it. Where on Trip Hammer, there's so much traffic down there that packs the snow on there. Now it becomes hard pack. You need a little bit more aggressive approach to it. So every little situation is almost case by case and experience.
Or back to spreading the product, the salt, it's zero to, if it get what, it's zero?
Yeah, salt works down to about 20, a little less than like 17 degrees or something like that. The magnesium chloride and calcium chlorides, they're a little bit more aggressive, but they're easily diluted, where salt it takes a little bit more for dilution. So with the magnesium chloride mixed with the sodium chloride, it's better because your temperatures go down, so that warms it up. It's a chemical reaction. It warms it up enough to be able to let the salt work at the cooler temperatures. So it's a combination. And that's why we've had a little better looks on the roads. And as much as they use, I'm actually surprised they switch to clear lane. We use a certain amount and they use significant more. And the cost of it's $20 to $30 more a ton. So, but what's the sense of the $45, $50 ton salt that's just gonna blow off with cars and wind in the ditch, where you're actually using the product, use less product.
That's
We actually,
Huh? You convince them it's a superior product.
yeah, well, we convinced Cuba Heights too, because they did the same thing. They called us up one day and wanted to come over. We explained it to them, and it's definitely, salt actually is dry. It can run through your fingers like sand. This stuff here, you can hold your fingers apart and almost bridge it in between your fingers. It becomes a little bit more dense and sticky, so it just worked better for us. Cuba Heights got on board, and I guess, I didn't know Town of Lansing. I know Mike called me about it, and I said, I'm convinced, I wouldn't go any other way, so, but,
Anyway, good communications.
yeah, but, what was you had
I have like a slew of things I just wanted to raise based on things I found from the surveys, but let's continue around, and when it's my turn, I'll ask those, if that's
is there
okay.
any more questions on me real quick?
Or are you leaving?
No, nah.
Okay.
You're done.
You covered it all. I got nothing now.
Okay. Nick, what are you doing this week?
Same thing,
Okay.
that big buck. Yeah.
Okay, Mike?
Just touch base on everything. Fire inspections are on schedule for getting all of the R2s, which are your multi-unit, to get those completed this year. The only thing slowing up, and I mentioned this the last meeting, was follow-ups, getting people to actually do what's correct, what is wrong that I'm finding. But I've been able to hound on them as far as emails, letters, and that type of stuff. So, and I'm kind of satisfied with the way things are going. It could certainly be improved, and that's what I had mentioned the last time about educating a lot of these either property owners or businesses or whatnot. So.
And you're communicating with them mostly through email?
Mostly through email. I do have phone calls to certain people who don't like to address their emails. And on occasions, I can make a surprise visit and stop in.
For the people who are not responding quite as fast, would the solution be just a more tersely worded email, or not terse is not the right word, but,
I don't know whether it's
or they just need time to process?
the people that don't normally respond all that well are the ones that have the most things wrong. And so I have to kind of get on them. They're the buildings and parcels that are in the worst condition.
Let us know if it gets to the point where you think you have an issue.
Yeah, I've sent out a couple, 3 letters, and once they get the notice of violation letters within 30 days, they tend to email me back, so.
Maybe go in our spam folder.
Yeah. So with that being, with the fire inspections being on schedule, I've been able to go back and start working on some stormwater issues to try to get up to the DEC specs of what they're going to be requiring over the next year to 5 years. Also, I get to do my seasonal naughty list, which is getting a hold of people who still have open building permits, trying to get those concluded. So it's kind of, it's the same end of the year stuff I've done the last. Yesterday, we had a meeting, a hazard mitigation meeting. What the main topic was because everything is being electrified now, with the demand for electricity, what happens if we have brownouts and blackouts, and you know, they're going to happen more often. What are the causes of them? What as a hazard mitigation team, as a village, what do we do to combat and make sure that people have the necessary items if the electricity does go out? And figuring out the problems, we need to put that into our hazard mitigation plan. A lot of the things that we touched on were having like the YMCA, which is our meeting area for disasters and whatnot, making sure that they're able to have a backup generator that if someone needs to go there for heat or cooling for long periods of time, that they have access to get there. To possibly build portable EV stations to be able to move around for vehicles to recharge, for phones to recharge. And then individual issues such as having battery storage systems in your house, generators in your house. We're just skimming it right now. And a lot of the stuff is common sense, have something to have a backup plan or something like that. But we're also trying to get it into our hazard mitigation plan. And by getting it into our plan, it's able to get it out, the information out to the public easier or have access. You and I have spoken about this before. The best way to possibly have access, maybe it's on the website, but if you do put something on the website, all your emergency contacts and whatnot, if the electricity's out, you're not going to be able to get that. So we had briefly talked about possibly going to schools and educating the kids, because then the kids take it home to the parents, and the parents are more likely able to, more likely listen to it or get more involved in it if their kids are involved in it. So these are things we're kind of scratching the surface in the hazard mitigation plans.
I signed up on the night of the fire for the sirens, and then you're signed up immediately, which was nice. So if there's actually something that the day, it's not too late, and that's through your phone, theoretically, you should have enough battery to get you through at least that day of the event. So we could educate people to sign up for that.
Yeah, I was surprised too when they were showing, when they were displaying during the presentation. I'm going to get the slides and I'll get them out to you folks. There's some good interesting facts in there, like what is the main reason for power outages. They give you the percentages, and also the minimum times and the maximum time, and then the average power outage time is like 3.5 hours. And I thought that was like, this seems like a little bit low to me, actually, because a lot of times we're out for 4 or 5 hours. I don't know wherever you guys live, I guess. But I'll get those, I'll get that presentation and get it out to you. So it's got some interesting numbers on it.
While we're talking about that siren, I get messages all the time, since I signed up too, about water main breaks or repairs. We could do you have a contact there where you can let them know? That would be so easy.
I thought Bone Point did all that, because they're the one that is like the PR person on that, on what it affects and everything. Because a lot of times I don't know the area that it affects. Like when I text you, I knew that one was a dead giveaway, because Beckett Way and Wedgwood are on the dead end.
So I'm not sure, who is the contact at that siren? Somebody?
It's the county, I
Because
think.
they
Ronnie
know
knows.
where to send, right? It just goes out.
I think, didn't
Get town of Ithaca.
I think Ronnie got that message that there was a water break, because he's texting me, are you guys here around the?
But I was thinking even for like when we do roads, this road, like Dart Drive, we were doing that project, Dart Drive will be closed to through traffic during the day or whatever.
That would be great,
But we
because
need,
people,
I don't
yeah,
think it-
that would be such an
think that
advantage for us to keep people involved.
I don't think you can use sirens for that. I think sirens is.
For emergencies
is more
only.
emergencies only.
Back to my, yeah.
I think that's correct.
So maybe downtown, they have a whole lot of water emergencies.
They do.
Roads closed? Mm-hmm. Okay.
so,
I mean, roads closed for water break.
Water break or something, that would probably be different, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
whatever, for emergency, whatever. And I think on the site, you can sign up for the message.
The different villages or towns that you want to get.
I'll have to,
Yeah, you can.
I signed up so long ago.
I just signed up for all of them, all emergency
I'll have
notices.
to
Oh, really?
look at look and see
Just
what.
go on Sirens, SIRENS or something.
So it's on the,
SIREN.
it's on the village website, the link, and also
Oh.
it's on the just go to the county, and it's the Department of Emergency Response up here by the airport, Stickley and Dunn. Dunn is the,
So you think anytime we have a water break, that Point does that?
They would do all that, and if it was an emergency, though, I don't know if water breaks are really classified as, I don't know. It's funny, because some of them can go, like, sometimes they can just let the water go all night long and fix it. Like, if it's on Christmas Day or something, like, a lot of times they just let them blow all night.
But I agree with you, even if it's not siren. Do we have any, like, text notification system or just even an email notification system for closed roads? Because that would be something good to develop. That's actually maybe a compliment.
so.
That would be, you have to get people free to give their emails, and then they move, and then they don't.
Well, I do think people, no,
Anymore.
but actually, I've had regard to the survey, like, I was gonna talk about some things that people ask for, people literally ask for that. They were like, I wanna know when
Sure.
I work on,
I've-
when you're working on this road, or
Right.
et cetera.
Well, we asked them
So
there,
things
they
people
wanted
would
to
sign
know.
up.
Yeah, they would have to sign up.
Yeah, they would, but maybe.
I mean, that's
that is-
easy,
That is
too.
a comp plan goal
I mean,
that we
you
should
just-
have.
Every time we call anybody when we close a road is like we have to call 911. So if we close a road in the center and they need to know the house numbers where it's closed, that way if they have a fire on either side of it, they know which direction to come into.
Well, like, for example, the Kega Heights sewer, so many people just asked me all the time, just questions about it. But if there was like, if they were getting updates, they wouldn't ask me, you know.
We had updated the website often, but a lot of people don't go to it. I mean, we constantly updating it, but it's so easy to ask somebody like you, because you would know. You're the first-hand person, you know?
Sometimes, when you have that sign that you put up at the,
Oh my God, don't talk about that sign.
also, sometimes,
My family still talks about that.
yeah, well,
Cushion, and
sometimes there are hangers that people put on the doors if it's just a small stretch, between, or a sign that goes on, along the road that says between here, this date and this date,
Right, yeah,
we closed.
we usually notify them with a flyer, or sometimes I just ask Jody if she can put something on the internet, and
Or
there's,
sometimes we printed stuff up and they've taken them.
Yeah.
yeah, we door to door, just on the affected
Yeah.
people.
Right.
Yeah, so we try to,
Yeah.
that is a good comp plan goal. Think about how we want to do our communication for projects. And do we want
have
an
a
electric system?
press release office,
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a comp plan. Hire press release liaison for the village. Yeah, that's our goal. Okay. Mike, are you finishing up?
Well, I was just gonna suggest that, John's stealing my leg. That sometimes old school is better than some of the new wave stuff that's going on, because I'm getting older, but I got to think that what the board would think if you took a lot of these emergency numbers, these emergency contacts, places to go, that type of stuff, and send it out as a flyer so that people just put it on their refrigerator.
Magnets. They
Something.
print off magnets.
Yeah.
Send them to everybody.
Somebody,
Emergency contact magnet on my comp plan.
what's left is to have a liaison for each development. We had Ronnie for Dart Drive.
Okay.
We had Roy Hogben
I'm putting that
for Lansing Trails 1 and 2.
neighborhood
We have-
on.
Susan for East Point Apartments.
If they cooperate. When.
That's the
they
key
co-op.
right there, is people cooperating, because they don't.
I would like that.
It's so.
Neighborhood
it's so
liaison
cool to
program.
have like
I got all my
a
cups.
development liaison. I mean, really, it's perfect. I mean, she could be down in the Shannon Park area or somebody like her.
Well, that's how they did the survey, right?
Yeah.
I basically emailed one person in each neighborhood, but we didn't have an official liaison program, which is actually a great idea.
I think, but Roy Hogman's he's my go-to guy up in Lansing Trails. He attends all the meetings, so he has a back door to a lot of other information too.
I think he's actually the president of the Lansing Trails Association, which is, Shannon Park doesn't have anything that formal, but it's nice to have a liaison in each neighborhood. I think that's fantastic.
John O'Neill used to be up there. He was the liaison for a long time, Lansing Trails 1 and 2. That's what we need. We need some liaisons around, and have Jody just have that information, or so I can say, hey, we got something going on here.
That's great.
Get it out.
That's a great way to do it. I like it. Good thinking. Mike?
I'll let Susan take the planning board stuff
Okay.
when it comes that time.
Let me. They're looking at ways to update the chart of uses. So basically, it was chart of uses for each, what's the right word?
Zoning district?
Yeah,
Well, there's some inconsistencies between the list of uses and the chart of uses. There's
Right.
inconsistencies, they need to be.
yeah, just updating that. And, just paying attention to the checklists for special permits. Spend a lot of time just paying attention to that. Just brainstorming. Parking, snow storage, sidewalks, just all those nudgy, I call them nudgy, that you forget to ask Mike, when they're applying for special permits. So that was basically the meeting. Just,
Yeah, to get
what am I missing?
something for the planning board to go through the process that I usually go through. When I get a special permit at my desk, I go through the process of what do they need to do. This is what the planning board would like either some type of flow chart or some type of list of, okay, we don't need that, we don't need that. This is something we go through at the very beginning of it. Or when we get down to the end, we have a list of conditions that we go through one by one. We don't need that one, we don't need that one. But to be able to start with the big list of everything that's be needed and just eliminate the things that are not needed for that particular special permit. So they don't miss anything, and so they aren't redundant on.
I've been sitting in on the planning board meetings forever, it seems. There's a lot of information, but with new people or with transitioning, you forget about the streetlights, or you forget about whatever it is that you've seen over time that you forgot about. Then you don't screen the propane tanks, for instance, or the garbage dumpsters and.
Absolutely, there should be this in place, so you don't
Yeah,
miss
so,
anything on any project. Every project has to,
Right.
you have to review
You're
everything.
excited about a new project coming in, but you forget, or don't know, or it's just,
I mean, I have a special permit list that I give to the applicant, and said, look, you're gonna need this, 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 and this, and a lot of times I'll erase some of the stuff that doesn't pertain to their application, but the planning board just wants to be able to go through a checklist themselves and make sure everything's covered.
yeah, that was the bottom line. There was a lot of back and forth. And sometimes I can't hear if I'm zooming in. Well, I zoom in. You don't always zoom in. So sometimes a lot of paper shuffling. Oh, my goodness.
So Kathleen, again, there's another thing that just gets done, another training that you've been talking about. There's all kinds of things that happen behind the scenes.
It's very helpful. It's very helpful to go in person. It's also really helpful that it's recorded so people can view it. And the flow chart is great to have, that you can then customize for each situation, just kind of as a
Yeah, it's the only other.
idea.
Not cutting you.
This is the topics,
Sorry?
the topics for, sorry, future topics.
Well, he's doing all that behind the scenes. It gets done even before it gets to the planning board.
Oh, no, I think she's talking about the only other thing.
No, I mean, another,
Well, we will have on the agenda for Monday, discuss topics for planning board,
correct.
so.
Great.
Apparently would Mike get off of you, and, because Mike Baker said he was gonna.
Mike Baker, yep,
Okay.
send a list.
The only other thing on the planning board is the tree law is pretty much, the changes to the tree law are pretty much ready. We're just waiting for Mr. Fernandez, and I can't remember the other guy's name, to come in to discuss, looking at it and saying, well, maybe this will be easier, this will be easier, because they don't want to get something and then have to come back and change it, so they're.
Mr. Fernandez?
Landscape.
Oh, Dave Fernandez?
Do you want to have specific recommendations for types of trees in it?
There's some questions they want to ask them, like how do you, one of the big topics was, how do you measure, we're talking about
Units.
a tree at breast height, but what if that tree is split, comes out?
Multi-stemmed.
Just
There.
Just objects, just things like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we want to wait a little bit.
He got to me before, just after the tree law was adopted, and a contractor reached out to him because they ask him for prices and they say, here's the new tree law code. And he went through it and he's like, there's a lot of things we need to repair in there. He says that you're asking that a contractor can't do or a developer can't do. But anyway, he is an intelligent man for sure, and he would be the one I would have take a peek at it.
okay.
Is there any money in the tree bank yet?
Yes.
No,
Should be.
we don't have a law to do that yet.
We had a law.
Should be $200 in there. Did Northeast Pediatrics put some money in there?
Isn't there? No?
See,
Maybe there is.
that,
Did we pass the law yet, though, for trees?
Yes.
yeah, there was an initial tree law.
There's a tree law.
Here's my biggest thing. I have a different interpretation of the process of planting a tree and the value of it. So when I give my numbers to the planning board, they're like, ooh, or they go back to the developer and they see that number, because we have to pay prevailing wage, and that adds 40% on top of the tree. You know what I mean? So if the tree bank is for us to plant trees, it needs to be done accordingly so that we can contract somebody to do it. If they just choose to plant trees somewhere else, it might save them money. That may be an option too, because they can get trees planted a lot cheaper than we can.
So we need to make sure that the tree law, when we edit it, has that option.
I don't know if it needs that option or not. I'm just saying, when somebody sees a 12-foot exclamation sycamore going in and they can do it for 200 and the village has a $450 price tag on it, it's because we have a different process than they do.
Okay.
It's government, there's a lot of that union wage that we have to. So anyway.
Anything for you, Mike?
I got nothing else.
Okay, Jody, your turn.
Last month, our accountants have done our audit, but I haven't seen the final one yet. And you all got your treasurer's report. Yamila, the planning board alternate, will be taking a break for family health issues. Reminder for everyone to get their required training in.
Wait, you just looked at me. Is there something I
No. No? Does anyone have any questions for Jay Franklin before Monday's meeting?
No, I don't.
No? Okay, because I can get hold of him and get your questions answered, but if you ask me Monday night, then you're just gonna prolong the whole process.
Okay.
So I just want to make sure that if you have any questions, get them to me today.
I have a question
Okay?
about nothing that you've just spoken about. Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it, I'm done.
So in the newsletter for the, for the town, they talked about how excited they were about their new savings accounts, and that they were now getting 5% interest on their savings accounts. What is our interest rate on our savings accounts?
Well, we have the big ones, so here we go. Another training session. We have moved a lot of it into CDs. The stuff that we really don't need right now, because that was paying almost 5%.
Yeah,
We have, in the general fund, we have a general checking and we have a general savings. The savings gets like 4 times what the interest does of the checking. So you'll find that I'll be doing transfers into the checking account, usually every month, like I did one for today. So yes, I'm making sure that your money is making the most, that they went through NICLAS, I think it is. I called NICOM about that probably about 2 years ago, and they did not support them. So
so you don't want to use
after
that.
having a conversation with Ronnie about that,
We're sticking with our current.
Yes, you're
Because
sticking with the trust company.
they indicated that it was their checking account that was getting interest, which is crazy, like, I never heard about that. I mean, they give minimal, but like not five, not
Yeah.
even near 5%. But I appreciate that we're doing what NICOM
Yep.
supports, that does seem to be the prudent way forward. Okay,
So
excellent.
one thing we do need to do is, I have the list of the unpaid taxes. So there are 21 properties that have not paid their taxes, totaling $159,804.84, plus 8% penalties of $12,784.40. There was one large tax bill which increased the delinquent amount significantly, and that was 87 Uptown.
Phew.
Yeah.
What does that mean, you guys?
That's-
know?
Well,
That's the
their tax
tax,
bill
that's a lot of money.
was $158,000.
I guess, no, my question is, who's at 87 Uptown?
University.
Apartments.
The University of Park Apartments.
University Apartments.
Every year, the village taxes that are unpaid get turned over to the Tompkins County for collection, and they're re-levied on the town and county tax bill, and the county reimburses the village in the spring. So I need a resolution to forward the delinquent village taxes in the amount of $172,589.24 to the county.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Kathleen seconded faster. All those in favor? Wolfgang?
Aye.
4 in favor.
Okay, and then I need everyone to sign this before you leave, that's here. Let's see, did everyone have a chance to look at the vouchers, to approve the vouchers? Yes. Are there any questions?
I already asked a million.
So would you like to approve the vouchers?
I make a motion that we approve the vouchers.
Second.
Susan seconds, all in favor? Any abstentions? One abstention.
Abstain. I didn't see the vouchers.
And that is all I have.
Okay, great. Kathleen,
Oh, just general stuff?
general stuff.
Okay. Well, the Climate Smart Communities, Clean Energy Communities Task Force, next meeting is Thursday, November 21, 5 PM. There's been no meeting since the last report. And all the information, minutes, plans, and related documents are on the website. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Jody, for printing on the letterhead, for going around with reminders. Carolyn did a great job of sending out to the resident surveys and sending out business surveys for the comprehensive plan. And Jody's had, paper copies and has also sent out reminders. So this is just a follow-up to see if we can get a few more businesses to go online on the website and complete the business survey. And if they're also a resident, to complete the resident survey, because they're different. Got my other questions answered. Oh, David Dubow was a village attorney for a long time. And there was a question that came up about planting a memorial tree.
That's sad.
And how can
Yeah.
individuals contribute to that? And so I'm just throwing that out as a question.
We have a couple more benches for sale. Seriously.
So just give me some
I
information.
mean, they buy the bench, they buy a plaque, it goes in his name.
That'd be great, that'd be perfect.
I
Especially.
mean, we have three that we have allocated to be in a location. One thing I will say about David DeBow, he had a very good following of other attorneys, Peter Grossman, all those people, they met with him every week. That would be, I don't know who's asking about the tree, but
Well, there was something to the effect of a tree in a national park, but another satellite question, related question, was a tree in the village, or,
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, those people have been known the village for a long time. They might be a recommended location. You know, we have lots of parks and
and just the procedure for how to do that.
What's the cost
in
of the bench if they
I
want?
think it was $23.50 last time I remember. $23.50, and I think the plaque was like $150. The most recent one was the gentleman,
Rashad Richardson.
So it's like
Same.
$500.
Richardson, it's up at Ned Hickey Park.
Ned Hickey Park.
That would be nice.
So, I mean, I'm not saying maybe they just want to do the tree, but I always throw that out there, that there's a bench that we can put a plaque on for them.
I'll follow up and get some more details on
you.
what the process is. Okay, thank you. And then, the only other thing is Tompkins County Whole Health sent out an alert about the rise in whooping cough and walking pneumonia. So just a reminder about childhood vaccinations and boosters for adults, because there are breakthrough. And they have the CDC, the health department, and your local provider. But it is something to pay attention about too, especially for, with the pertussis, the whooping cough, the very young, the very old, but anyone can get it.
Our nurse,
I'm sorry.
our nurse.
And mycoplasma pneumonia, walking pneumonia, there are resistant strains. So if you're sick, don't wait.
Come to work and share with your coworkers.
And then, they have the preventative measures, good old fashioned hand washing.
I coughed earlier and she put her mask on.
I did.
I mean,
Hey, when I go grocery shopping, et cetera, I do put a mask on, and everybody steers clear.
but you,
There you go.
you also are around little ones,
I'm around little ones, and yeah.
because I did have that conversation,
Yeah.
like, do I really need? And it's a choice.
I just let people know, and it's a choice, and it's fine to do either.
Anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Oh, just an aside, there is I was looking at, this is just a FYI, Village of Cuba Heights tree management plan, and their multi-year schedule of work and inventory, tree management and inventory that's coupled with their projected costs. So it's a multi-year, 5-year plan, and they had, it's 2019, and they did get some DEC NYSERDA funding for that. So just throwing that out there. It's on their website.
Cool.
Nothing for me.
Okay, Wolfgang?
Nothing?
Okay, then I will go. Ronnie and I and the Greenway Committee had a meeting on Tuesday night where we invited residents who had indicated on their resident survey that they were interested in Greenway, and we had 4 people attend, all of whom seemed interested in joining our committees and becoming more actively involved in the village. So hopefully we will have some more citizen response out there, and I'm really happy about that. 13 people replied in the survey that they wanted to participate. 6 people of that returned my email saying that they wanted to participate, and then 4 came to the meeting. So there's 2 more people who just couldn't come Tuesday night. So maybe we even have 6 new villagers who want to become actively engaged in village committees. So we'll continue follow up with that. So with regard to the survey, Kathleen and I both read through it, the comment section, we had a last question, is anything else you want to talk about? And not with regard to, what people want to really focus on in terms of the questions we asked, but just things that they brought up that are maybe things that we can fix on a small, individual small scale. So one thing that it raised for me is I forget where we are in the village with regard to gas and sewer hookup availability, like today, if you come in with a permit for a new house. What is the
13.
situation? We have 13 what?
No, and north of 13, you're not getting gas.
No gas, no
gas.
13.
No, north of 13, you're not getting gas. South of 13, maybe.
Okay,
How
and
much gas you want.
well, is there anything to be done about that? That's because of the Dryden moratorium?
Partially because of that, and just the amount of demand for their amount of available transmission. So they were having zero pressure down, up at the Lansing High School. So what they did to combat that was stop anybody from north of 13 to connection.
And so
So-
where does that come from?
NICEAG,
It's-
Vanguard.
And do we ever see that changing?
No. They actually, what puzzles me the most is every day our department sees gas line abandonments. People put in heat pumps and they no longer want to get charged the minimum meter charge from NICEAG. They totally do away with their service. So they have to.
You recoup like one at a time then? If someone abandons,
I would think that would be one for one, but it's not working that way. They still have a moratorium north of 13, and we know there's probably 4 or 5 that cut their service lines off. But do the people know that they can't get them back? That would be the other question. If the people are not happy with their heat pumps or that source of heat, and they abandon the gas line, do those people know that they can't get it back?
so Mike, maybe we use in your checklist that you use for when people come for a building permit and you see a heat pump, you can mention to them, once they abandon,
If they are going to abandon their gas,
then they're not gonna get it back, because they are gonna ask you for that, that's gonna be a permitted issue, so.
Gas, water and sewer was the second question?
I just forgot if we still have, yeah.
There's no moratorium.
And we have enough, because we had the Klein Road bypass got us some amount of sewer bills, right?
There is a 500 allocation limit now on Cuba Heights
From them to
treatment
us.
facility.
We have 500 left?
Around there. The 550 is what Brent committed to. Remember when he had the pause on the pause?
Yeah.
He put 500, Ronnie had to come up with a list of what the village was gonna come up with for future connections in the village.
Right now, we have
There's
150.
There's 30,000 gallons a day from the town of Lansing. That's different, though. So I think Ronnie give them some of the Terryton development, some on the Uptown development, the Beers development, and we were toying with the idea of what was gonna happen at Transact, if you remember that.
Yeah,
So 550 was the allocation that Brent and I spoke about the other day.
okay. All right, I just wanted to refresh my recollection on those. So an issue that came up that I might have to raise this with Natalie. The issue came up about vacant commercial structures in more than one occasion, and somebody mentioned that other municipalities have zombie property laws. So once you have a zombie property that's not occupied, there's a penalty, there's a taxation for that. Have we ever, did anyone here's institutional memory talked about that? So that's something I'm going to then ask Natalie about on Monday night. Notice for projects came up, which we've already talked about quite a bit. Just notice when things are going to be happening, and we're talking about that. I think that's definitely going to be a comp plan goal. Will be figuring out the best way to, increase our communication with people. We talked about sewer hookups. Do you remember this is one I wanted to ask you about. Is there something with an electric box at the corner of Cuba Heights Road and Hampton Lane? And is,
Oh, Lisa was complaining about that one.
maybe that was
Car.
survey.
Car hit it.
Somebody complained about that. And I
Car hit it, and there was nothing we could do about it. We're constantly fighting Verizon every day. They call it deadwood. Have you ever seen the deadwood in the village? It's a telephone pole with another telephone next to it that the wires, it's cut off and there's wires
Yeah,
attached to
yeah.
it. We're constantly fighting to get them removed.
Okay,
So the last person on the utility pole has to remove the pole. So, and I guess where I'm going with the story is, it's hard to get them people to do anything. Chris and I have been in constant contact down at Black Chin Boulevard with the lines that were laying in the ground all over the weeds, big lines, let's pick around. And then the lines at the cabinet.
and this is a
Place-
nice, these are both nice.
Verizon, and there's some other people.
Okay, so what if we do something more official, like a letterhead or an attorney letter to asking them to take care of their stuff? Do you think that will help?
That's gonna be a long list.
Maybe
I
we
don't
should
think
come up
so.
with a list.
I really don't think we're getting them fixed a little by little.
Okay,
They're required by the Public Service Commission. They're required to remove the poles within 30 days of NYSEG notifying them. And I'm pushing the envelope.
could you ask them again about the electric box?
They got it fixed.
They did, that one's fixed. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great, okay. And then Kathleen, can you remind me, where was the issue where the biker's not getting an arrow because their car is not active?
Graham Road,
Yeah, what about that? That's an interesting conundrum.
we went through this, there's umpteen million emails on this. In order to adapt something there, it's gonna cost the village a ton of money when they have an alternative. We asked them to get off the bike, go down to the ped light and push the ped light and go from there. They want a small traffic loop or a push button there, and it's not legal. We looked into it.
Explain to me where we're talking about.
So if you're coming down off Graham Road
You're-
from the Swarthout Bus Company,
Yes,
coming down to it,
yeah,
a bicycle doesn't have enough metallicness to create
left?
create a call for the traffic signal in general.
oh, create anything. Okay,
It would be the only one person I know of in the village that would actually abide by the V&T laws if they waited for the traffic. Most of the time, sometimes motorcycles don't even get a call there. It's just, there's nothing we can do about it without spending a ton of money trying to get motion detectors in, or our lights are just working fine, but they're not new enough to be able to adapt some other kind of electronic device to them that they need.
well, I was just thinking about, depending on how big of an issue it is, with regard to sometimes money becoming available from grants and stuff, with regard to climates-related issues, and, increasing bicycle use in the village is definitely a goal. I was just wondering whether this rises to one of the issues that we want to try to think about. If there becomes, a way to make the village more bike-friendly, is that high on the list or not high on the list? We talked years ago about green striping. I think that would be higher on the list than something like this, but,
We went through this with a
Where you
gentleman.
have the issue at every junction. You have the same issue at Bomax and Warren, and you have the same issue crossing 13.
I agree.
If you want to do something there, you have to push the pedestrian button, as John said, or you wait until
A
a car comes from either side and triggers the traffic light.
that's exactly what
Or
they
you
said they
find
had to
other
do.
ways around, as I do.
That's what I'm saying right there. Now Wolfgang, he finds an alternate way, right? Whether it's push a ped button or maybe take a right turn on red and then go down the other side road, right? You know what I mean? You could take a right, come up and go down Butler and maybe go to the mall that way if you wanted to go straight across. There's other ways you can do it. I have one person that lives in a certain development that's been advocating for, like Wolfgang said, it's every signal. It's not just one, it's
Okay.
everyone.
Okay.
So he basically wants it done to this one when you really should be done village-wide. You know what I mean?
Just again, like when we see bike safety opportunities in the future with grant money affiliated, if we see them, I was just wondering if this was a project that we were interested in.
I agree. I understand.
I don't know.
Yep.
We'll see, but we'll just keep it in mind. The only other thing that was significantly mentioned that I still want to talk about more in the future is some kind of bulk garbage pickup, which was mentioned on like 5 different surveys. So it wasn't just mine. I don't remember if I mentioned it or not. If not, then it's 6.
Probably go to the Cuba Heights and see how they're doing.
I've talked to them, I've talked to them.
Yeah,
Well, they do it every month, which I didn't realize. I thought they did it once a year.
and they're facing a truck crisis right now.
Are they?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, well, anyway, it's just something that I'll raise again in the future. But that was all the survey kind of things that I saw that people mentioned that I wanted to just ask you about.
There were two others. There was one about, is there a way to make the path in Dankard Park between the parking lot and the pavilion more accessible if somebody had a wheelchair?
yeah, we could do a path. I mean, we just never really felt the need for it. I mean,
That was just something that,
I guess, you know what I mean? It's,
But wait, there is a path there.
no, not,
Oh, I was thinking of,
not to the pavilion.
to the,
I mean, we wanted to actually take a path around the soccer field eventually, just so people could have a walking path.
like a track?
You know what I mean? Rather than let them walk on the road, push them to a park.
I don't remember exactly, but it was basically to make it more accessible from the parking lot to the
I
pavilion.
agree, I understand. Strollers.
Strollers, wheelchairs, that kind of thing, yeah.
That's a good point.
And,
Maybe it's something.
Well, if not, the
Put in the
Greenway
budget.
will,
Oh,
Greenway Committee,
Budget.
and their goal.
then there was some mention of the pines near the fence, DPW fence.
What's wrong with them?
I don't know, there was something that said it was leaning.
Oh,
These guys love cutting down trees, so I'm not gonna tell them that, anything.
there is one tree.
Well, let's go check this out.
No, I didn't know if you were aware.
We have pruned the pines, we have pruned the
Wait,
pines.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic, do you love cutting down trees, or you hate cutting down trees?
Oh, they absolutely love it. If there's a tree in their way, they would go for it.
Yeah, let's not pave around it, let's just take it down, then they.
Okay.
I mean, they're all about planting trees somewhere else, out of their way.
There were a lot of other things that were mentioned.
Yeah. No,
If it was village property or if it was their property leaning up.
Oh, it's not up there.
I mean, if it's something that's posing a hazard, I mean,
Well,
we'll definitely take a look at it.
They're talking about whatever it is, I think
You
they're
know what it
talking
is.
about.
Yeah.
It's just the tree that was planted, this maybe just not straight.
Well, there's a lot of pine trees back there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Make your
We'll
big-
just take a look and make sure.
take a look.
We're just gonna take a look and make sure it's nothing hazardous.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
If it's leaning and we feel it's good, it's staying.
right, as long as
Is it
it's
on our
not a
property
hazard.
or somebody else's property?
I actually,
That I don't
Because if
know.
it's on other
Yeah.
property, we can't do a thing about it.
no.
I have no idea since these are
Yeah.
anonymous.
I'm sure there's a ton of stuff. If you wanna throw it all in a spreadsheet and send it to me, we'll check and think. You know what I mean?
No, I just wanted to see if it was something you were aware of.
Yeah, no, I
Oh, anything.
like the
Yeah.
trail, like the trail. I never would have thought to put a trail to the park pavilion. I mean, it makes sense. but
I
we did it up to,
And I've driven by it and I never noticed. I
Yeah,
never noticed
I mean,
there was or
little
wasn't.
things like that. That's why when we come to budget time, we always send everybody out little questionnaires. Do you have any ideas? Well, that's the stuff we need to know. You know what I mean? Then we can fit that into our budget. If it's something that
It's a priority.
we can do and do reasonable and without a major reconstruction,
Stone and
Right.
who
Okay.
knows?
plant more trees.
So at the Greenway meeting that we had with the new prospective members, one of them was asking about a lot of our trails seem to be asphalted versus crushed stone, because you just said throw down a couple stone. And what I said was, have had this conversation at a bunch of different planning meetings over the years, whether or not we want to always have a trail that we provide winter maintenance for, and maybe there are time and a place, not necessarily this park, this seems like one we would want to provide, where we don't want to provide winter maintenance, and we want to do a stone crushed trail. And, yeah, especially, if we do a big trail system with the town, there will be places along that trail. Well, that's actually supposed to be a multi-use trail, but to the extent that we have large trails come into,
We've had the gravel trails. They're nothing but maintenance issues. I'm all about blacktop trails. I really am.
that's what I told them.
If you look at the trail, so I often look at the trail, Dryden's trails. I mean, the gravel is all roughed up. And some of these hey dude sneakers and shoes, I mean, that stone comes right up in the bottom. They're hard to put strollers on. I wouldn't want them, and they're hard to maintain.
And actually, you made that very clear on the Beers property
Yeah.
when planning the, initially. So I think for that project,
Is that something that has to be maintained through the winter?
No, that was the point, like, there should be trails, or there could be theoretically trails that we have that little sign that says no winter maintenance, and, it's not a blacktop trail, and there's no plowing.
You can try, yeah, absolutely, try it.
And time and place, it'll depend. I think our parks are a good place to have one where we do maintain it, and we do provide winter maintenance, but somewhere else,
It's just simply amazing on Hardtail Park. We never really thought it would be the hit it really is. But every day, it's unbelievable,
it's great,
unbelievable.
awesome, good to hear. Does anyone have anything else? All right. Oh, Wolfgang, did you? Oh, I asked you.
Yeah, I have nothing.
Okay,
Have a good Thanksgiving.
thank you, you too.
Oh, you too.
so
One here soon.
I'll move to adjourn then. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
See what I have to do.